I'm not aware of the procedure. Now, the one more thing on this is Shanti Conductors is a case which I thought was very important on two issues. One is it decided on a two interesting point of limitation in a case where interest on delayed payments to small scale and ancillary industrial undertaking act is involved, whether the act alone concerns the period of limitation which got revived due to this enactment, or section 19 of the limitation act can be applied along with this. See, the point here is Shanti Conductors had supplied certain materials to Assam State Electricity Board, and the payments were made in principle, but the interest was not paid. One round of litigation got over by the association as well as Shanti Conductors separately about the liability. What happened was it was held to be barred by limitation under this enactment also. So therefore, it came up to Supreme Court and it got reported in 2019. Please note down 2019 19 SEC 529. The issue got settled and it said Shanti Conductor's suit for recovery of the interest is not maintainable due to bar on limitation. What happened? They filed a review. So this is two angles which the Supreme Court decides in this judgment is one, limitation angle, when it is applicable, when it can be revived. Number two is on the question of review. When is a review maintainable? What are the four corners of a review? In fact, when you are talking about review, you can also read for a curative. If you want to ask, you can ask about curative. When question is asked, you can Rupa, Ashok, Pura, and then you read the Shanti Conductors. But if only review is there, definitely Shanti Conductors. According to me, this is very important on the issue whether when this case came here, there were two arguments raised. The review was filed, they argued, because section 19 of the Limitation Act was not considered. What does Limitation Act 19 say? 19 says whenever there is a new payment or an acknowledgement of liability is 18. But 19 of the Act says whenever there is a payment effected, and then you have to revive the claim 3 years from the last date of payment, which is, I'm not reading the section as such. I'm putting it to you in a manner in which you will be able to understand. You can read it later. So section 19 argument, they raised it in Supreme Court and said, actually the benefit they claimed was, the argument was in the first round, there is this act which is called as Interest on Delayed Payments to Small Scale and Ancillary Industrial Undertaking Act 93. The initial argument was, interest having not been paid under this act and it has been revived, my payment of interest has not been given within the as per the enactment, so it is due. Limitation is not applicable is what the argument was. That has been rejected up to Supreme Court. But in the review, what they argued, I have to apply section 19. Supreme Court did not consider section 19 because the payment had been made up to a particular date. Suit had been filed within 3 years from that date. So limitation will get revived is the argument. What the Supreme Court said, two things. One, either you say limitation is applicable or not applicable. Having said that this limitation angle is not applicable to you, you can't now come and say section 19 is applicable to you because your limitation gets revived from the last date of payment. So on that score, section 19 cannot be applied is one. Number two, as far as pleadings go, section 19 has to be pleaded specifically. For that, our friends will have to read Order 7, Rule 6, CPC, which the Supreme Court says. CPC and CRPC, we don't remember many a times. We leave it in college and come to the Supreme Court. It's only 136 that we are thinking about. So you will have to see this judgment and see Order 7, Rule 6, which says anything about limitation or extension or exemption will have to be pleaded specifically. So therefore, since you have not pleaded it in your plaint, and now you are agitating as a new ground in your review, section 19 angle without a pleading, a review itself is not maintainable. So in this judgment, if you go through, you will find in paragraphs 14 onwards, how is limitation angle dealt with and how this pleading has to be decided in para 22, 23, and earlier cases are dealt with under Order 47. What is a review? What are the four corners of a review when you come to the Supreme Court on an error apparent on the face of the record? So we'll have to be dealt with only under Order 47. So this review is not maintainable. On that score, I thought Shanti Conductors is a simple case, but a good case on limitation as well as on this angle of review. Now, finally, Navtej Singh Jogar is one